going to know that they've been lying to them about who I am. So what they are trying to do is arrange an attack to justify the lies that they've told. So they'll do something wrongful to me to keep agents from finding out that they lied. I'm not having it. Pay attention to how I just worded that. They're mad because I'm also about to write a complaint to the landlord. And if he doesn't act, I'm contacting the housing authority. So what they just said was, y'all, it's not one of the female agents and the guy agents. He said it after her. He said, y'all, they said, y'all is not going to be acting like nobody is helping her. Now, what way it was meant, I don't know. I'm telling it to you like I heard it. And I told you when they speak with intent to curse. Very seldom is it straightforward. And this is all day long. The real history, because not to know the real. Okay, so something that took place also while I was taking notes on this video, they were talking about the apostille, and they were talking about, that they place these stamps on these documents all the time, or the UCC filing, it takes place, and then you send it in for the apostille. And they said that he was implying, when the agent said it, he was implying that I'm making them look at these documents differently. So I just want to go over a couple of things. The very first time that I visited this video was in 2015 or 16. And they talk a lot about Moors because they are Moors, but they also talk about the history of law. So I'm going to outline some of the things that were said. She discussed the difference, like understanding the difference between a court and a courtroom. The people that report to use law using words of art to make you believe that law is on the table when you enter into the room. So the reason that that's not true was because law can only be used by those that are sovereign in their sovereign capacity. Law can only be used by those that are in their sovereign capacity. So, she talked a little bit about the Emancipation Proclamation and how it freed no slaves. All it did was standardize slavery. And U.S. is pretty much the poster boy, the model for that. It was the model for other nations. And this took place way back then, around early 1800s, 1850s. So, force, when, like I just said, the U.S. was used as the poster boy, the model for this. And, they found that by standardizing slavery, that they could force their people, their aliens, to join nation states so that they could issue statutes and codes, ordinances, and resolution. So state statutes, which is like, they aren't law. State statutes are not law. is a corporation, a corporate policy. So if you understand that the status of nations is a corporate entity, you understand that, these codes, these ordinances, these resolutions, they all fall under their policies. So when you look at a city that falls within a state, it's a nonprofit. It's a private nonprofit corporation. So they call themselves, it'll say, she was using Pennsylvania for an example. So like their private nonprofit corporation is called the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania Incorporated. So a code, she was talking about coding, ordinances, and resolution. A code is not a law. A code is not a law. In the U.S., they're used in Supreme and federal courts. But they're codes, ordinances, resolutions that have municipality or of municipality, used city and statewide by private corporations, nonprofit. So that would be like the city of Philadelphia, the city of Akron, the city of Norcross, the city of Grand Forks, North Dakota. The reason that they aren't law is because the only people who can issue law are people who are in sovereign capacity. Those that sit in a seat, so we're talking about elected officials now, are not in sovereign capacity. They are in corporate status. They're corporate wards. They're wards of the state. They are not members. Hold on. So she further discusses, is what a birth certificate is, that it's a contract with the state. And as long as you have a contract with the state, you belong to them. If you are a member of a corporation ward state, which is a member of a corporation ward nation, you are a citizen. A citizen, a resident, and citizen and residents are not sovereign. She talks about, the address and why it's fictitious, and it's associated with designations that are issued by the corporate ward. This places you in their jurisdiction. So, if you're operating under that capacity, law, applies to you as long as you're. Matter of fact, I'm going to play a little bit of this because there's so much good information. This video is actually already listed. Like, it's in the comments under my What is Gang Stalking video. And the reason that I'm going to play a little bit of it, I'm going to show you how probing works. I know that what I did was exact. And now, they didn't have anything to say up until about 30 seconds from now. So, and it was all based off of a statement, a simple statement that they were going to use to manipulate reality. She stated that, if you were not a Moor, that you could not be sovereign in the U.S. She was saying pretty much, if you're not if you're not in impropria persona in North America, South America, Central America, in order to be in propria persona, you have to be a Moor. Otherwise, if you want to be sovereign, you have to go home or something like that. And that's not the case. Like I said, I researched this topic enough to know better. But that's right around the time that they began to try and manipulate reality. And right away they began to I could see them putting thoughts in people's heads, how to respond to this situation, how to respond to getting this public notice of a lien in order to retain my my sovereign status. But like I said, this video is in the comments under my game stalking video, but I'm going to play some of it for you. This is the first thing they got mad about. When she said that this is their land, I said the devil is a lie. Because it's not. I already know how these organizations, how these groups.
It's very important. And that in fact this is our land. So beginning with that premise, whether you're more or not more, I'm going to start with what law really is. Most of us think.
So yeah, they had a problem with how I rejected that statement about the land, and you know, they said that I was going to bust Moors out and all kind of stuff. You know, that they have an arrangement with pretty much the United States of the Republic, and you know, the treaty and all that stuff.
That we go into a courtroom and understand the difference between a court and a courtroom. That the people who purport to use law really use words of art to make you believe, in fact, that law is on the table when you walk into a courthouse or a courtroom, when in fact that's not true. And I would like to share with you tonight, regardless of your religious persuasion, what law really is. Law, and as Muslims would say, all law, is A-L-L space L-A-W. All law. All law. So for anyone who's of a Christian persuasion, don't be misled. And when you hear the term all law is God, all right? That is also what we would say in lawful terms, a misnomer. Allah is not God. God has no capacity and no standing to all law. Because God means governmental ordinance departments. There is no comparison. Now, who can use law? Law can only be used.
Okay, so right around this time, what their conversation was like was how powerful I am, you know, and how powerful I was going to be, and how me separating myself and, you know, them having no way to justify the type of attacks they're making was going to bring the nations into alignment. You know, they were saying that pretty much, you know, their idea of God, you know, that everything would align. I told you that your God is a genetic engineer. And, you know, this little bit of information, the governmental ordinances, you know, and departments aligns with that. So they had a problem right away, you know. They're tearing me up with remote neural monitoring. I'm going to stop speaking. But to put it in simple, they were saying that they were going to have to recognize me for who I am, and that this also inadvertently recognizes me for who I am, you know, the law.
Sovereign capacity. And as I will share with you tonight, the majority of the people in the world, and I'm not going to get into all of the details about that, but the majority of the people in the world, 99% of them live in slavery today. So in 1863, via the Emancipation Proclamation, and I challenge you to go look in a law dictionary and look up the definition of emancipation and proclamation, and you will see that a proclamation is not a law. A proclamation is a public announcement by elected officials. It is not a law. So the Emancipation Proclamation.
Elected officials are constituents, chief constituents, and constituents. One that authorizes another to act as an agent, one that's authorized to act as an agent.
Of 1863 did not set any slaves free. What it did was standardize slavery, the United States being the model for the standardization of slavery, that all of the other nations around the world, as they reduced their people from their sovereign capacity and forced them to join nation states, then they were able to issue statute, codes, ordinances, resolutions on them. And a statute, as in a state statute of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, is not a law. It is corporate policy of the corporation that calls itself the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania Incorporated. All right? Now, a code is not a law. The United States codes, the code of the laws of the United States of America that are used in federal court and the Supreme Court, are not law. They are what they say they are. They are codes, ordinances, and resolutions of a municipality of the city of Philadelphia, which is a private nonprofit corporation that calls itself the City of Philadelphia. An ordinance and a resolution, as in parking ordinances, they are not law. They are what they say they are. They are ordinances and they are resolutions. All right? And the reason they are not